Hello and welcome to this video on the UCAT, the University Clinical Aptitude Test for people entering largely medicine but some other clinical and biological courses as well. Effectively, this test is just really fast problem solving. Okay, all the resources I'm going to show you come from the UCAT website, which I can't recommend highly enough as a one-stop shop for UCAT training. The link is in the description. Their logo is down there on the screen. So do use that website extensively as your first port of call for your UCAT training. Right, this video is going to be on the admin side of things, on how you sign up for and when you should be aiming to take your UCAT test. So first thing to know is it's online test, has been for many years, unlike the Oxbridge ones that are sort of just moving towards the Pearson Review centres. This has been an online test for years and years and is very well established. About 37,000 students take it every year, and you have a range of times when you can take it. However, this is first top tip, the time you want is just before the start of year 13. That is the sweet spot, okay? And those slots go very quickly, right? When you come back from your summer holiday into year 13, assuming I'm talking to you in year 12, you will find that things get very busy with UCAS applications and with everything else that's going on, maybe EPQs and so on and so forth. So here is a standard timeline of what your progress through a sixth form college or sixth form school would look like, right? You'll have year 12, you'll work out whether or not it is you want to do medicine or something like that, choose your course. You'll have some mocks at some point, you'll have some form of exam, less and less it's AS now, it's more and more internal exams, and you'll start the UCAS stuff when you come back from those exams. That is the point that for a clinical student, you should actually make your UCAS account. Okay, just after those exams in June, varies each year, you make your UCAS account, your UCAT account. The reason you want to do that at this point is because you can then start applying for things like extra time if you get them, or access arrangements, or bursaries. Okay, there is a fee to this, but your school will have a bursary system if that's a problem for you. So you want to do the admin early, and if you get extra time and you get access arrangements, you will need them. Okay, you will need that extra time. It is a very rapid test, this. Okay, it will link directly to your UCAS form, so you should also be starting your UCAS form at this point. If you're trying to do one without the other, you might struggle to link your UCAT account to your UCAS account, and you need to be able to do that. Right? Once you've got both up and running, it's very obvious how to do so. You generated a UCAS number and you stick that in the UCAT account, and that links your result to your application. Okay, and you have to do nothing else about it. Your result will go to the universities that you then apply to. When you want to take your UCAT is here, okay, in the summer, last weekend of the summer. So last sort of working days of August or first few of September. That is the sweet spot. They go really quickly, okay? At this point here, right, when you start making your UCAS account, making your UCAT account, you can actually start to book. Okay, there's separate booking dates and making account dates. Making account sort of back end of May. Booking test starts in June, say just after your exams. You want to get on there like it's Glastonbury tickets. You want to get on there. You want to make sure that you've booked that slot right before the start of year 13. And if you have to travel a little further to do it, to go to a different Pearson View test centre, I would strongly recommend you do. The evidence suggests that people who do the test in that sort of time window end up with a higher UCAT score and getting more interviews. Okay, now that may just be because that's a self-selecting group. It may be because they are more proactive people, right, rather than people who leave it late, who tend to do worse anyway. Or it could just be the fact they are not overwhelmed with the work at the beginning of year 13. Okay, so that's my top tip on when to do it. Of course, medicine is an early applicant course, which means your UCAS deadline is earlier. All right, 15th of October is the send-off date. Your school will have an earlier date than that. Ours is the back end of September. Interviews will then come along at some point in this window here, which is why you had to obey the early UCAS deadline. Okay, but this is not a video on interviews. See other content for that. So again, the UCAT website is fantastic. It gives you lots of really good tips. It gives you this timeline of what things you should be doing and what skills you should be working on to do the best you possibly can in your UCAT. However, it starts here at 6 weeks before your UCAT. I think that is a little bit short. You should be working on your UCAT from as soon as you know that you want to be a doctor or that you want to be a vet or a dentist or whoever else needs to do the UCAT. Okay, so you should be working on this little and often from as early as humanly possible. Okay, so if you're watching this as a year 12 or even a year 11, start now. Okay, have a go. Go to the UCAT website, I say the link is in the description, and start working through some of the questions. We're going to do separate videos on working through a couple of examples from that website of each question type. Okay, there are some really good top tips here. Okay, to get familiar with the interface. I'm not going to go through that now. You can practice that yourself. Flagging and returning to questions is something you can do. You will have an on-screen calculator. The reports from my students are they don't have time to use it. So a good ability with mental arithmetic, being able to do simple sums in your head really, really does save you time. Okay, but do practice with that on-screen calculator, although many students find it quite clunky. Using the number pad on a standard keyboard can really help speed that up. Okay, you obviously need to know your GMC's good medical practice to inform your judgment tests. Read newspapers, read articles. Part of this is reading quickly. This is something I would really struggle with as someone who gets access arrangements myself. I would really struggle with this bit. I find that bit very difficult, but do practice reading articles and extracting information from them. And your math skills. Nothing is going to be higher than GCSE level in terms of the maths. Right, they're not testing you on your maths, they're testing you on ability to extract, manipulate and use numbers. So it's numeracy rather than maths. And finally here, know where your test centre is, okay? Know where your local test centres are. Not only so you can find it on the day, obviously, I think printing off a map is a little bit old school here, but make sure you take the correct ID as well. Know where your local centres are, because if you can't get the slot you want at your nearest one, you might get it at the second nearest one or the third. Okay, and that slot, as I say, we find is critical. So the structure, and there's a change here that came in this year, which if you're watching this straight away as I upload it, you'll be the second year to experience, is that abstract reasoning has gone. So if you see any question banks on abstract reasoning, ignore them. Okay, they found that they didn't differentiate particularly well. Abstract reasoning was the weakest of the sections in terms of deciding who was a good candidate. So abstract reasoning is withdrawn from the test. There will be 3 cognitive subsets: verbal reasoning, decision making, quantitative reasoning, alongside situational judgment. Okay, and here's the number of questions and the number of time. Note how many questions for how much time there is. Okay, so here in verbal reasoning, you've got twice as many questions as you've got minutes, so that's about 30 seconds a question. Okay, it is very, very rapid. Decision making, approximately a minute, and quantitative reasoning, as you can see there, 36 questions in 26 minutes. The situational judgment, 69 questions in 26 minutes, so you're going to have to make your judgments very, very quickly. Okay, but more on that in the individual questions. So that's the structure. That's what you need to be doing. Make sure you get your admin organised and do it at the right time. You want the strongest result in this you can, and you want it out of the way as quickly as possible. Okay, so next up, we'll go into the actual questions. The verbal reasoning is the first section, and we'll look at some specimen examples.